The Lord has been so good to me. I can't explain it. Yeah, I was born in Berlin, Germany in 1937. I had a wonderful childhood, actually. Uh, my brother had to take care of me a lot because my mom cleaned the house where we lived in. My dad, like a lot of men, was without work, so he uh, delivered eggs. He went to farms and got eggs and sold them in Berlin. Then I know my dad didn't like Hitler. My brother told me that once he heard him, my dad and his cousin talking about it. So he did not like Hitler. My mother didn't want to believe any of this stuff, but we had never heard that Jews were in concentration camps. That I only found out after the war. My brother was, of course, in Hitler Youth, but he could go to church with us on Sundays. That was allowed yet. I don't know what Hitler would have done later on. Our family was Baptist as far as we can go back on both sides. Well, of course, we lived quite a ways from the church, so we couldn't do anything around the church, you know. But my mother was always involved. She had me in the kitchen from when I was little, you know, because she was always working, helping the ladies and stuff. My dad, he was drafted when he was too old already, and he was only for a few months in the army. He drove a truck with supplies, I guess, for the troops, and then he got captured in France. That was one of the worst places. They said how many people had died at that camp there, at a POW place. Mom said I always prayed that he would come home nicely dressed, because we saw German soldiers coming back all torn, their clothes and stuff, and they were walking. That's how nothing was going. They were walking, trying to get home. And I always prayed that he would come back clothed nice, and he did. But he weighed 98 pounds when he came home. So Mom had to hold the fort, and she did. She since we didn't have anything to eat, she got stuff, and we had a garden. But see, in Germany, it's different. You don't have your garden by your house. You have it, the gardens are all around the city. So you had to go, we took the train to get to our garden. So we had a big garden, and we had a lot of fruit, okay? Lot of vegetables, but mostly food. And we would lug that home, and she had places to rich people that would buy the stuff. That's how we got by. Well, I was about 6, 7 when the planes from the U.S. came over Berlin. Before they would come, you could see colored balls in the skies. 3 rows of colored balls in the sky. I don't know if those were a warning or what they were. And then we had to, of course, we all had black shades. We had to close the shades so we wouldn't get bombed. So it would be dark all over Berlin, you know. And that was one bomb hit kitty corner through the block on the you know, you go this way and that way through the block there, and our house shook. Oh man, we thought we'd gotten it, but that was the closest it came to us. Inside Berlin was burning. It was burning real bad. I mean, we could see it when we looked towards the inner city. The sky was all red. The first Russians that came in, they went house to house. And we were in the neighbor's basement for 6 weeks. We didn't dare go outside. So we sat there. My mother had my brother on a lawn chair, kind of laying so they wouldn't see how tall he was, because they took boys along or raped like crazy. One guy was after my mother, and she prayed about that every day, that they wouldn't soil her, you know. The first ones were good, the Russians. They came from the Moscow area, from the west. But he said, this guy, one guy said, he said, when the other ones come from the hinterlands, watch out, then you have problems. He told us that. And they were. I had 2 cousins in Berlin that were raped over 20 times. When this all was over and we could go outside, everything was in the streets. Canned goods, mattresses, whatever. See, some of the Russians were going to take stuff along, but they couldn't carry all that stuff, so they found something better than they left it lay. Everything was in the streets, people's stuff, you know. My brother got a bike that he fixed up that was laying around, and my mother kept saying, don't bring anything, the Lord is coming, this is the end. But that already was His providence, that we didn't live inside the city direct, that we lived on the outskirts. That was such a big help.